Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. Rowpaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining BJ Rains today is KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust. Check him out on Twitter at KTVB Sports Guy and make sure to check out KTVB.com. Now here's Jay Tust and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Tuesday to you. Happy game day to you for the Boise State men's basketball team. We appreciate our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. I'm sporting the Row Paint hat today. Make sure you check them out, rowpaint.com, and you can get 15% off using that promo code BNN15 on the interior painting of your home. We got Jay Tust with us for his regular Tuesday appearance. And, Jay, a big one at the X tonight, man. The ICCU YouTube chat's already fired up. People are ready for the game tonight. We're only 10 hours from tip-off, Extra Mile Arena.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than this in mid-January. At Extra Mile Arena, it doesn't. Like, I know that maybe San Diego State would get teams more hyped up, and all honesty, that's just because of their name. It's not necessarily because of what they've done. And you look at by just about every single metric, this is the matchup of the Mountain West right now. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic, and Bronco Nation gets back-to-back quad one games at the time of tip-off to enjoy.
Now, I will say right now was the key word that you said there, because Boise State's already had 2 quad one games, moved down to quad 2. Nevada with a loss probably drop. If Boise State beats them, that probably becomes quad 2 all of a sudden because they're at like 28 or 29 this morning. I know it is at the end of the season, not now. But it's funny. I had sent Gary Parrish. He does his CBS Sports podcast. He's a national college guy. Does this, the studio analyst for a lot of the CBS Sports Network games for BSU in the studio. And I've gone on his show a couple of times when Emmanuel Acott had transferred there, and they've played, Memphis a couple of times the last couple of years and gotten to know him a little bit. So I just sent him a text the other day, I think yesterday or the day before, and said, hey, man, just curious your thoughts on Boise State. Are they a tournament team for you? Are they close to the top 25 right now? And for someone that hasn't watched a ton of Boise State games, I'm sure he just went and did a quick look of their metrics, and his response was, I definitely have them in the field right now, and yes, they're on my radar for the top 25 and 1, but I've never been too close to ranking them because they have 0 quad 1 wins and a quad 4 loss. That doesn't quite get it done, but 6-2 in the first 2 quadrants is worthy of attention. So I went back and looked, and I was like 0 quad 1 wins, and then I realized that they had both fallen down to quad 2.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So if you're valuing,
you don't have to raise your hand, by the way. This is partially your show, so you can just cut me off and start talking.
Well, this is a dilemma that I've had because I got the luxury of taking over your AP ballot voting. But I like the net rankings. I do. I look at a number of the rankings before I ultimately make my decision.
Okay.
But it's stuff like that, that I've struggled with a little bit lately because if I'm looking for a tiebreaker, ultimately I will kind of go back to those quad 1 games and see who's done well against quad 1 teams or who has the most wins against a quad 1 team, because those are the teams come March Madness that you're going to have to play and you're going to have to beat, right? That being said, why would you pay more attention to one specific quadrant if you're paying attention to the net rankings?
Yep.
Why would your sole factor be a quad one win when you calculate it all up and it says you are the 20th best team in America at this moment. You know, does that make sense?
Yep. No doubt. It does. It is
Like,
obvious. You're using the net
like,
ranking to make the quads, but you're not using the net ranking to pick your team.
Right. Yeah. It's just like, okay, we'll use this part of the data, but we'll just throw away this part of the data, right?
But I guess my point was that I had to look back because I was like, no, they have 2 quad one wins, or they have 1. And then you look back and Utah State's dropped down. UNLV has dropped. UNLV's barely on the cusp. They, it'd be and they're playing each other tonight. I think it's UNLV is at Utah State. So if UNLV were to win that one on the road, they'd probably bounce back into quad one. So it is kind of fickle in terms of it's a quad one tonight, but it might not be when you wake up. I mean, it literally might be a quad one win tonight for 2 hours, so the net rankings readjust.
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing, BJ. If you sent him that text 2 days ago, then his response is different, right? So,
that's what I mean. If it's great. And so I guess like for the outside people that don't watch every Boise State game, you just look at it and go, okay, no quad one wins, and they have a horrible quad 4 loss, and it's like, okay, well. You dive into it a little more. They have, 7 top 100 wins or whatever it is on Ken Palm. They have, and you go back to that South Dakota State game, which, by the way, the thing you need to root for if you're a Boise State fan is South Dakota State trying to go on a little bit of a run here because they need to improve about 28 spots. If they can improve 28 spots, that becomes quad 3. And quad 3 is so much like less crushing than quad 4.
Right. Quad 4. You look at quad 4 and you're like, I mean, that just hangs with you. The good news is
what Gary Parrish did. He looked and said, "Oh, no quad 1 wins and quad 4 loss. I'm not ranking them."
The good news is, and we saw that last year with Boise State too, is they had kind of a quad 4 loss. Yeah, and that they basically had no chance of that thing turning into anything else, right?
Yep.
So if San Diego or South Dakota State can get on a little bit of a run here and bump up a little bit, which when you're ranked, I think they're like 188th last time I looked. I mean, you can definitely move up 28 spots if you're in that area. Like you definitely would have the chance to move up 28 spots. It might take a couple weeks, but you definitely have the chance to do that. If you want to talk about the AP top 25, I mean, my thought process with this week is it was just a little bit too soon. If I say this, and you know the way this works, BJ, like I'm going to say this, and then all of a sudden, like all the teams like 20 through 35 are going to upset all the top 10 teams, and like it's going to be impossible not to move them back into the bracket, right? That being said, if Boise State sweeps this week, Nevada and at New Mexico, I think there's a very strong chance that I will rank them next week.
Oh, if they win the next 2 games, I think I think you could already make an argument because you could just say, they're 20th in the net, and there's 25, they're 27th at Ken Palm, they're 23 at Bart Torvik. I mean, their average of the main 3 rankings comes out to top 25. So I don't think anybody, Gary Parrish used to do this pull attacks column where he would just rip some voter for his terrible ballot, and he stopped doing it. But I don't think there's any way that someone could come at you even if you had done it this time. But I think I always struggle with that too, as the local guy. You don't want to be the only guy that votes for him and stuff sometimes. And you're like, well,
I mean, it is what it is, but once we get to the point where it is like,
if they win the next 2, dude, I would think they're probably actually ranked, I would think, because all the people that are voting for New Mexico might have to turn around and vote for them.
And looking at this over the last few weeks, like 20 through 35 is extremely close right now. Like it's splitting hairs. I don't really think you could go one way or the other or fault somebody one way or the other. Like, I mean, it's so funny because there are certain things in your mind too where you're like, I just can't separate resume from like reality, right? And like Clemson, for example, I put them into the back end of my top 25 this week. I would be shocked if they win the ACC. Like I would be floored if they win the ACC. So, but it just, I don't know. It's a constant battle, especially when you look at. I was a little reluctant to move Charleston up too much, but the thing about it is Charleston keeps winning, and so and other teams in the country aren't. So it kind of is what it is right now. I mean, even the same with Florida Atlantic. I think Boise State's better than Florida Atlantic? Like probably, but it's tough to to dismiss the Florida Atlantic is like 16-1 right now. I mean, I don't know. It's a crapshoot. It's a tough thing. Initially I was really stoked about it, but now it's like I really spend a lot of time Sunday nights like going through this and splitting hairs and seeing, who deserves what over the other. And I will say this though, this is getting back to my point though, BJ. It's so funny because you all, I mean, in that text thread or text exchange, you're the Boise State insider. There's another one that has national perspective, right? And if anything, like he should, and this is no knock, man. I listen, read his stuff all the time. I mean, he's awesome, Parrish, but Gary Parrish. But if anything, it should almost go the other way, right? Like that's why, in a way, it kind of will be. I'll look at it as my responsibility once I do rank Boise State to, convey why or say why this is what should be happening or is happening. I mean, we watch them. We know we go beyond the eye test. We know a lot about this team. And so you look at what they're doing.
It goes
man,
both ways. Sometimes you get, Leon used to get on me sometimes. Well, why aren't we ranked? Why aren't you ranking us? If only our local beat writer would rank us. And I said, okay, go look at who's number 25 right now. And then you look at yours, and there was usually no comparison as to what, in terms of the rankings and stuff. But you look at the KenPom numbers right here. I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this because this is a paid service, but you guys get a free look at KenPom. Number 10 in defensive adjusted efficiency right now on the left. Number 15 in effective field goal percentage defense. Number 4 in offensive rebound percentage. So that's the percent of opponents' shots they get their offensive rebound. That basically means that only 3 teams are doing better on the defensive glass than Boise State is in the entire country. So a lot of those green in the defense. And as you've kind of noted out, Jay, too, some light greens starting to pop up on the offensive side as well. The offensive, numbers have made a big jump. But you look at the schedule on the left, and we'll go back to the offense in a second, Jay, but you look at the schedule here, and as you kind of scroll down to some of these games, you mentioned the big week that's ahead here, Nevada and New Mexico, but I don't say it lightens up, and then you get 3 games, Fresno State, Colorado State, both at home. Those are games you should win. A game at Air Force, which is a tough game, but, you have a chance to win that, obviously, and you look at these next 5 games. I mean, if you're able to even split, just win one of the next 2, Jay, and then win those next 3 after that, I mean, you're looking at 18-5 going into the San Diego State game in a couple of weeks. And if you can find a way to somehow win both this week, which I don't think they will. I mean, just being honest, I think you hope for 1-1. I think you probably win tonight. And, I think it's just going to be going down to the pit, 15,000 sellout crowd. If you had to play percentages, I assume, New Mexico's going to be favored in that game. So I just think 1-1 this week, which I think is okay. Go 1-1, win tonight, play with house money on Friday. Not the end of the world if you lose to, New Mexico. But if you somehow win both, you got 3 easy games coming up, and you could be like 19-4 and probably in the top 15 in the country in the rankings or something going to San Diego State. So it's a big week, but then those next 3 games, Fresno, Colorado State, and Air Force, allow them to get on a little bit of a roll, I think, going to San Diego.
I couldn't agree more with you, and that might be a stretch of games that Colorado State worries me a little bit in there just because they have Isaiah Stevens. I mean, and I don't know. He's a really good basketball player, as we saw against UNLV the other night.
Oh, that half quarter to send it to overtime was insane.
And then he hit one in overtime that was insane as well. So, but that might be the stretch of games, too, where you got to manage things a little bit to make sure that Marcus Shaver Jr. is healthy for that trip down to San Diego State and things like that. So it's really cool how, like, we've kind of got it's kind of a luxury. It's definitely neat how we've kind of changed covering this team because, I mean, now all of a sudden we really do pay attention to these rankings and stuff like that because Boise State has made themselves completely relevant once again nationally for the 2nd straight year. And it's a lot of fun, man. I mean, sometimes it's just like it's a little bit too much in terms of just like nerding out with who's sitting where in the net rankings. And I don't know if the common fan really even gives a crap, but I certainly have a fun time paying attention to it. So you wake up every morning usually and see where Boise State is at, and they haven't fallen since their last game, which even if you don't play, usually there's a little bit of movement, but they've held strong at number 20, despite the fact, as you mentioned, they're 0-1 in quad 1. They do have a nice amount of quad 2 victories with 6 of them, but it's a fun team to pay attention to right now. And the body of work is big enough, BJ, where I just believe that they're real. Like I do. And I believe that they're getting better, especially when it comes to what we've seen on offense lately.
I actually leaned over and said that to Jordan Kay in the Wyoming game. At one point they went up, 18, 19 points. And I just kind of said, okay, this team's good. Like, okay. Like I thought they were going to lose that game. I really did. It was a scary game. Maybe I'm just more of a pessimist sometimes, but I just thought, you know what? Like Wyoming, and I saw what happened, I guess because I was in the building last year when they stormed the court and ended the 14-game winning streak by beating them. But I just had a feeling they were going to lose the game. And then you look up and they're up by 20. And I was like, you know what, Jordan? Like, yeah, okay, I guess this team's good. They are.
The breaking point for me and kind of that acknowledgement too, BJ, is when Naj Smith is just getting wide open threes, right? And the only reason why there is like they just have so many legit shooters right now that they can really space the floor, and 1 through 5 can knock them down. I mean, Naj Smith had 4 threes the other night. Chibuzo Abo is shooting well over 50% from 3 in Mountain West Conference play. Marcus Shaver Jr., if any, like percentage-wise, has been the least efficient, but you also have an immense amount of confidence in him when he shoots it from 3, right? Like, Tyson Dagenhart, when you take out like the first 2 weeks of the season, like he's still upwards of like 40%. It's and then Max Rice, anywhere from 30, he'll be good. I mean, so I don't know. I know that there was at the beginning of the broadcast the other day, it was like the first bucket that Boise State scored. I don't know if you had the chance to go back and watch it. You normally do, but you were traveling. But Tyson Dagenhart forces a steal, and Max Rice gets the ball, and he's in transition and decides just to kind of pull it back out and shoot a 3. And the commentator goes, hey, when you're the coach's kid, you can do that. No, when you're shooting 45% from 3, that's when you can do that. I was like, chill on that.
Kind of odd. He had like a path to the basket and he said, oh, I'm going to come back out and around. And then he switched it. And
hey,
like, all right.
I'm guessing you look at like true shooting percentage and stuff like that right now. Boise State's off the charts with that stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're a guy like Max Rice, where you either get a layup or an open look at a 3, I'm going to guess the open look at the 3 is probably the way to go. Like, I bet you that's the way that the numbers probably suggest him to go with that one.
Yep, and he's gotten a lot better. His 2-point percentage is actually way better this year too. He's doing great inside the key. Yeah, he is. And I do want to play a funny clip from him about the family basketball games in the backyard here in a minute. But we are almost 2/3 of the way through the show, and I've yet to thank a sponsor yet. So we got to pay some bills here, folks, for a second, and we're going to continue this discussion. But our friends at Cutwater Spirits sponsor the studios. Check them out. More than 30 flavors, pre-mixed premium cocktails. Jay, we still got a bunch of these left from the trip down to Las Vegas. So maybe I can bring you a 4-pack or something to the game tonight. Although it might look
where I live.
Might look a little weird if I'm walking in with a 4-pack of Cutwaters tonight. But I got the lime margaritas and some other ones. Yes, I will have to get those to you here in the near future. Rowpaint.com, our title sponsor. Check them out. BNN15. I've been telling you about that promo code. Talked to somebody that used it the other day. Check them out. BNN15 is the promo code. You get 15% off the interior painting of your home. You can get more information. Schedule a free estimate. ROEpaint.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, they're paying top dollar for used cars and trucks, even if you don't buy a vehicle from them. It's all done in 3 easy steps. You can share your vehicle information, make an appointment, and get a cash offer from the appraiser while you wait. It's hassle-free on the spot from Lithia Ford of Boise. Our friends at Idaho Central Credit Union as well. You don't have time to run in the branch to deposit your check? Well, that's okay. With Idaho Central Credit Union's mobile deposit feature in our mobile banking app, you can deposit your check anytime, anywhere. Learn more today at ICCU.com. And if you're looking for a new job, how about Transportation Compliance Service? TCS, they can help you out with all the permits and things you need to get out there towing that first load in no time. And we love sponsoring them, and they're signing up a lot of the big-time tour buses and things, and we've had a great partnership with them. So if you're looking for a new job, it's the perfect time to get into the trucking industry. Everywhere from the Amazon truck in your neighborhood to the big rig on your screen, check them out at Transportation Compliance Service. And the Blue and Orange Store, our 5th major sponsor here at Bronco Nation News. Free shipping, any order over $40. That's kind of their staples. So you go online, you make an order of at least $40, you get free shipping. And right there on the second floor, if you're in the Boise area, go into the Boise Town Square Mall and pick up your new gear. Jay, I understand tonight is a whiteout. So if folks are looking for new white Boise State gear, whether it be the T-shirts, the sweatshirts, whatever, head on into the Blue and Orange Store there on the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall and pick up your gear for tonight's game. There are several tickets still available. I was a little surprised to see this, but the upper level, Jay, is still pretty wide open. Pretty much any section you want to sit in the upper level, there's whole rows that are empty. So we'll see if there's a late pickup tonight, but does not look like it's going to be a sellout tonight.
Yeah, as just a fan of sport, this is a game you're going to want to watch as a fan of sport. I'm excited. I usually have Tuesdays off. I'm not saying that my schedule should dictate your schedule or anything like that, but I'm going to go work this thing because I want to see Nevada and Boise State battle for first place in the Mountain West Conference. And by the way, you mentioned, I'm sure the Boise State had some hard feelings going to Laramie because they stormed the court last year when they ended Boise State's 14-game winning streak. Well, what happened last year when Nevada came to the old City of Trees? They had to watch Boise State cut down the nets, and claim a conference championship. So,
that's right. That was the game where the controversy with the security guards and the students storming the court and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So those thoughts will linger in the Wolfpack. I mean, if that served as motivation for Boise State on Saturday, I'm sure that's going to be a motivating factor for the Wolfpack tonight. But I just getting back to this Boise State basketball team, as long as we can nerd out with stats for another 8 minutes or so. BJ, I bet you there haven't been too many Kansas teams that have done this. All 5 of Boise State starters in conference play right now are averaging 12 or more points per game. And if that's the case, that means that you're at least at 60, right?
Yeah.
And if Boise State gets to 60 with the way that they can play defense, they got a chance each and every night on an average night. And so this team's going to be tough to beat right now. And if Bronco Nation's wondering if they make an impact, man, Leon Rice and the players, they can't wait to get behind the mic following a victory at Extra Mile Arena and talk about how much the fans do make a difference. And especially the last game against Utah State, like they can't wait to get behind the mic and tell them how it makes a difference. And, you want to look at so far in conference play, I don't know if these are any indicators or not, BJ, but I'm just going to throw this out there. So far in conference play, teams are only shooting 59.5% at the free throw line against Boise State. That's the worst percentage in the conference.
That free throw defense, man. Boise State must work on that all the time. Hey,
I'm just saying, I think that the fans might be just a coincidental thing. Maybe it's not, though. And it's they lead the conference by a wide margin in that little area right there. And it's not like they've played teams that can't shoot free throws. I mean, Utah State's a really good free throw shooting team, right? The team they're hosting tonight, Nevada, is an extremely good free throw shooting team. So if you can slow the game down, make it difficult for the opponents by generating some noise and sparking some nerves when it feels like the game is on pause at the free throw line for the opponents, that all adds up at the end of the day.
Well, let's see here. Sam says, didn't know about the whiteout. Thank you for that. And how about this, Spencer Wynn? I'm going to put this on the screen here. Joe Lenardi just released a new bracketology. Boise State in the last 4 in, playing Penn State and Dayton as an 11 seed. And I find this a little bit interesting, Jay, because Boise State in the last bracket was in the last 4 buys, and then they win, and then they move down to the last 4 in. So here it is right here. It does have them playing Penn State in the 11 game over on the far right, but he's got them as the last 4 in, but it looks – and then New Mexico – he has as literally the last team in the tournament. So, again, adding to the importance of the game on Friday.
I'm just really interested to see how this is going to turn out because the Mountain West got 4 teams in last year. Isn't that right, BJ? 4 teams in last year?
Yeah, and they went 0 for 4.
Yeah, and they went 0 for 4. So I know that. And man, Colorado State had Michigan dead to rights, and then they let Michigan back in the game. And Boise State's second half was a whole lot better than their first half. And I don't know. I don't want to make too many excuses. Wyoming was playing a lot of basketball in a short amount of time, and they had to take on Indiana back in the Midwest. I mean, that was just some tough matchups, really. But I'm wondering what it will take for people around the country to kind of give the Mountain West a little bit more credit, because again, if you look at the amount of teams they have in the top 35, the net and all this stuff, I mean, they stack up right now with almost any conference in the country. And so I
understand the quad one, like the lack of quad 1 wins is probably hurting them. But like you look at all the numbers, like Boise State should be like a 6 seed right now, not like the last team in the tournament.
I mean, if you were just going to go like,
which is why they justified putting them as an 8 seed last year, because they said they were number 32 in the net, and that was an 8 seed. Right. So I mean, based on what they
needed
by,
to justify a way of a second round matchup with Gonzaga. So which
I did see in like one of the recent brackets, they were
in Denver.
The 3-6 or whatever, and the 11, whatever it would be, 10, no, 5-4, whatever. I forget what it would be.
I think Boise State was an 11, and they
6-11, then 3-14 or something.
Yeah.
Yep. They'll do whatever they can to do. Derek says biggest home game of the year tonight.
I mean, hold on though. Like, look, it is
for
like,
now. Yeah.
Right now, it is. Like, I mean, when San Diego State comes, but that's like a name recognition thing, and like, I was also thinking about this in the NCAA with the AP poll the other night. Like, I was actually kind of surprised to see the gap between New Mexico, San Diego State, and Boise State. Boise State still has some ground to make up. Luckily, they play New Mexico this week, so if they can beat New Mexico, then they'll take care of that. They don't have the luxury of playing San Diego State this week to make up that gap, right? But this is like the same thing that probably Boise State football benefits from, right? Like, there are writers around the country that just know San Diego State basketball is very good and almost makes an NCAA tournament every year. And so when you're kind of like thinking like, well, is it Boise State or is it them? You're just going to go, the history says San Diego State. I'm going to go San Diego State. This isn't me. This is what I'm just saying, right? Mm-hmm. And so that probably actually, I bet you it works that way in football for Boise State football. Like, I bet you it does. And so the basketball team is working on getting there. Oh, yeah. But they're not quite. They haven't quite got to the point where they get any benefit of the doubt or anything like that.
You're like, look at the bottom of the top 20. Boise State. Let's put them 23rd. That seems about right for football. And it is just crazy to me. If you go strictly by the metrics, Boise State shouldn't even be on the bubble. But Leon Rice did say yesterday, by the way, that he could care less about the brackets at this point. There's so many. He said there's a lot of dust still to settle. And so maybe he wouldn't be saying that if they were a 5 seed in the tournament, but I think that
Leon's saying that because it has zero impact on what the hell happens on the court. But at the same time, Leon is a basketball guy. You know that he's peeping at that stuff. Oh, yeah. Like, that he is. So, which I admire. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't.
Yeah, and you mentioned Gary Parrish might have a different response. If I text him this Saturday, if they sweep, New Mexico and Nevada, he'd have a much different response than last week. So it's the same. All that bracketology stuff will change by the game. I do want to quickly actually touch on the game tonight, but we do have a couple quick sponsors we got to thank. BoiseDentistryCo.com. If you're looking for a new dentist, check out Dr. Meinert. From Mountain Home to Caldwell, everywhere in between. Full family dentistry, so they can take care of your kids, your whole family. You can all do it, in one stop, and it's a great experience there with Boise Dentistry Co. Find a location near you at BoiseDentistryCo.com. If you're looking for new insurance for your business, check out United Commercial Insurance, 229-8222. Dr. Meinert, his brother is Brandon Meinert, and he does the insurance over at United Commercial Insurance. Check them out, and appreciative to have the Meinert brothers on board, and they can lower your rate with a quick call. They're going to lower our rate. We're actually going to add some more insurance here in the near future, so make sure you check them out, UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. Ridley's Family Markets, go download that Ridley's app, shopridleys.com. You can find a location near you, but they got the new app in the App Store, the Ridley's app, and they got some great deals on there, so you can download the app and go to one of the locations near you and get some huge savings. So make sure you download the Ridley's app and find that location near you at shopridleys.com. Matt Boucher Real Estate will be picking the Boucher Real Estate Player of the Game coming up after the game tonight. No home is too big or too small for Matt Boucher and his team. Check him out, the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley yet again, BoucherRealEstate.com. And Timberstone Golf Course. I'm going out there, I think, hopefully next week, Jay, to try to get a lesson in from Tad and start to work on my game a little bit if I can, just so I don't go 6 months without swinging a club before the spring comes around. We are also finalizing details for the 2nd annual Bronco Nation News Golf Tournament. We're working on that and don't have the exact date or location yet, but you can probably guess based on the advertising here where we're hoping to have it again. PlayTimberstone.com. And again, I know it's the weather's not perfect for golf right now, but get out there and work on your game, and maybe you'll be ready come June to beat Jay Tust in a long drive competition.
That shouldn't take much for them.
We are looking to maybe do a celebrity long drive competition or something. We're trying to raise some more money for the Idaho Youth Sports Commission. Jay, I forgot to mention this to you, but we're thinking maybe $20 a shot, and you just stand out there like Happy Gilmore on the driving range and try to, people can outdrive you. They get, you got to put $20 in the pot for the charity.
I love the Idaho Youth Sports Commission. I'm down to talk about stuff.
And Justin Schultz out there on the and Mike Burns. We'll throw the 3 of you out there for the longest drive competition.
Don't put Schultze out there because that dude tees up with a 3-wood on a par 5. So he's easy to the age where you got to keep it in the fairway.
Yeah, no doubt. But Jay, you mentioned the game as we wrap this up. The game in Reno a couple weeks ago. Pavle Kuzmanovic scores with 13 seconds left or 11 seconds left, something like that. And then Keenan Blackshear comes right down, blows right past Mr. Kuzmanovic. There wasn't any help behind him. He lays it in. Boise State called for a travel, and they're going for the last second shot. They couldn't get the ball to Marcus Shaver, and they fall 74-72. And you had Tyson Degenhart and Najee Smith both fouled out of that game. Were not in there at the end. So a 2-point road loss. You turn around. Boise State in Vegas, a 5-point favorite tonight. Ken Palm also projects them as a 5-point win, 69-64. So theoretically, this is a game they should win tonight. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like a pretty tough darn game. But what do you make of 21 days, by the way? 3 weeks exactly. They're and minus a day, I guess. But they're playing the first repeat opponent here before there's 5 other teams they haven't even played once. But the two teams were pretty evenly matched in the first meeting 3 weeks ago.
That's pretty wild. I mean, that is. I was thinking about that the other night too. That it's crazy that this game, the second game, happens before Boise State even has a chance to see a number of other teams around the league. But that's the way scheduling works. It is what it is. I think Boise State, going to Laramie, getting that trip out of the way, conveniently while they're a little bit banged up, also was nice timing to hit that game. I mean, we were joking around, I think, on the last show, being like, yeah, it's going to happen. Like, they're going to miraculously get healthy right in time for the Boise State game. Luckily, that didn't happen.
Yep.
But, yeah, it's going to be – I mean, it's just crazy to think if Boise State gets one more stop against Nevada, they are the clear-cut number one team in the conference. They're probably – I mean, they as a result, they might be ranked as well at this point. I mean, they would be playing for a massive tiebreaker over Nevada tonight. And that's something that's at stake here, folks. Like, we are already determining what's going to happen in Las Vegas at the Mountain West tournament potentially this evening. If somehow, some way, Boise State gets in a tie with Nevada, and the Wolfpack are going to get a higher seed because the Broncos, would have been swept by them hypothetically. So this is a big victory or a big game for that right there. First place in the Mountain West Conference is on the line. I love the way that this team is playing offensively lately, BJ. And you look at what they've done over the last 3 games, they are one of the best offenses in all of college basketball. Over the last 3 games, if you just look at that little sample size, because they've scored 80 points in each of those games, 82, 83, 85, something like that, 82, 84, 85. But they're averaging 83.7 points over the last 3 games. Top 25 in college basketball. Points per possession, almost 1.2 points per possession. That's top 20 in college basketball. You look at 3-point percentage, 47.4, top 10 in college basketball. 3-point field goals made per game, 12.3, almost top 5 in college basketball. So when Leon Rice was talking to us prior to the season saying that he really thought this team was more offensively gifted, he likes the ball movement, all this stuff, it took about 2 months for it to come to fruition. But I guess I can see what he was seeing in his team long before any of us really could. And if they play offense like this, if they consistently make 10 threes a game like they've done their last 3 games, which I don't think they've done in like 2 or 3 years, by the way, back-to-back games with 10 or more threes. If they can do this with the way they've shown that they can play defense, this team's going to hang around and contend for a Mountain West title.
No doubt.
They are. It's not. There's no doubt in my mind if they keep this up, like, they are going to be an extremely tough team to beat.
And you mentioned the offensive numbers, you throw in the steady defensive numbers. Yeah. And at barttorvik.com, you can kind of rank it out by time frame. And if you go back to basically January 1st, which is basically the new year, but also just the start of this 4-game winning streak now. They're the 9th best team in the country overall, according to the metrics. I mean, they've been a top 10 team in the country the last 2.5 weeks when you combine what you're talking about on offense with the defense. But Nevada will have that 3-headed monster with Blackshear. They got Lucas and then Will Baker, the center. Those are the 3 guys to focus on tonight. Tickets still available, broncosports.com. I mentioned a lot of tickets actually in the upper deck, so we'll see what kind of crowd they get. But Jay, should be an awesome game tonight. We'll see you down there. Looking forward to it, and should be a lot of fun as Boise State looks to keep things rolling against Nevada. I'm
going to leave you with one more thing because I know we're going into overtime here. But I think we could talk about this game tonight for quite some time. I thought one little underlying takeaway of the Wyoming game: no starter played over 31 minutes. Most of them played 29 or less. Lucas Milner off the bench had played 23 minutes, had a +5 plus or minus. 6 points, 6 rebounds, 3 of 3 from the field. They're going to need him tonight against Will Baker. So hopefully the chance to get a little bit of confidence in Laramie will lead to him being productive tonight. He doesn't need to do a ton, but they need a little something out of Lucas Milner tonight.
Hey, thanks to everybody for the YouTube chat. It was on fire today. Derek says this might have been my favorite BNN morning show so far. We appreciate that, Derek. TNT, I appreciate you, BJ and Jay, for bringing this each week. Super happy for this service. Thanks. Great chat, everyone. And we didn't get to most of the comments today, but we really appreciate everybody for the comments. It was great. Great chat tonight or today, and should be a great one tonight. We'll be on the Lithia Ford of Boise pregame show. About 6:10 or so tonight. I'm just thankful if we get an actual 7:00 game. That 9:00 game the other night was brutal, but 7:00 game. So we'll be on about 6:10 with Abe Jackson kicking off the pregame show. John Mallory will be by as well. So make sure you're subscribed to that YouTube channel and turn on your notifications so you get notified when we go live and you don't miss any of our future broadcasts. So Jay, we appreciate it. We're going to have to talk about Friday because I'm flying to Albuquerque Friday morning. So we'll have to figure out if we want to tape something or I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
you let me know.
Appreciate you as always, Jay. And thank you to everybody for watching. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day. I'm actually heading to the gym. Going to try to get a rare workout in here before the game, but no school for the kids today. So they're hanging out with me. I don't know why the teachers just had 3 weeks off for the holidays and they need another professional development day already. I don't know what I want that gig, but the 4-day weekend with Martin Luther King Day yesterday. So, but you don't have to worry about that yet. You don't have to worry about the which days are off school, but you're getting closer to that. But appreciate it, Jay. We'll talk to you later. We'll see you tonight. Everybody, we'll talk to you at 6:00 tonight on the pregame show. Go check out BroncoNationNews.com. We got a ton of great content on there. We'll talk to you later. Bronco